And should we go ahead and do a roll call here? Kimberly, would that be? Yes, it's Kimberly.
Yes.
Yes, we could do a roll call vote. I'll start with you, Vice Chair Collum.
Yes, I'm here.
And this is just a reminder, our old Chair Napoli is no longer serving on the HPC anymore, so that's why we're starting with our Vice Chair. And Commissioner Dawson.
Present.
Commissioner Hambaro. Okay, she is on the video, so I will tentatively mark her absent until she can unmute to confirm her presence. And Commissioner O'Neill.
Here.
Commissioner Rath.
Here.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
He needs to unmute. Yeah, he's muted.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm muted? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. And finally, Commissioner Smith-Caravello.
Present.
Thank you for confirming. And as for staff, we have myself, Jennifer Cleary, another recording admin assistant, Sarah Zeal, and we have Community Development Director, Kim Cole, and Interim Principal Planner, Fernanda Roveri. Thank you.
I think we should probably look at the minutes and see. I'm sorry, I thought we were going to, get on the subject of the chairmanship. So I'm sorry, I didn't study all this. Consent items and approval of the minutes. Is that, that's what I'm looking at, yeah. You think we do the minutes first?
Yes.
That's what I thought. I thought we should look at the minutes first to approve.
The minutes are first on the consent item agenda, and we're voting to approve the December 10th, 2020 HPC minute. And just a reminder, those who were not present at that meeting or new members, please abstain from the vote.
I'll abstain.
Thank you.
I had no corrections on those minutes. Would you like me to make a motion to accept?
Yes, that would be great, Carol.
I move that we accept the minutes for the December 10th HPC meeting.
I'll second that, and I'll add that the minutes are beautifully done, very detailed, very accurate.
Mhm. Let's do that. Okay. And then, let's see. So should we be going to number 3? Well, let's see,
We do need to still hold a vote on that.
okay.
So first,
Okay.
Vice Chair Collum.
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Aye.
Commissioner Umbaro.
Umbaro wasn't present, so shouldn't be voting, correct?
Absent, I believe. We need a confirmation. We need verbal and hopefully visual confirmation that Commissioner Umbaro is present.
At that meeting, she wouldn't vote.
And Commissioner Rath.
Abstain.
And Commissioner Smith-Caravello.
Aye.
I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you.
I think yes, I'm approving the minutes.
Thank you for clarifying. And with that, we did have a quorum on the vote, so the motion passed to approve the December 10th, 2020 minutes. and we can move on to public comment for items off of the agenda.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Vice Chair, I can go ahead and share the information with the public on how to participate. So we encourage members of the public to join our meeting via Zoom Gov because you're connected live to a secure government meeting. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/City of Monterey, where there's an approximate 10-second delay, and on Comcast channel 25, where there's up to 90-second delay. If you'd like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate any delays. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone number on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. And since the meeting has already begun, you'll find the agenda under the recent tab. And to join by telephone, please dial 833-568-8864, which is a toll-free number, or 669-254-5252, and enter the webinar ID, which is 161-961-0419. And if you're prompted to enter a participant ID over the phone, simply press pound. We also have detailed instructions on using Zoom at monterey.org/public meetings. In order to make a public comment, please raise your hand in Zoom, or if you're connected by telephone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute yourself when called upon. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak, and we ask that public commenters turn off their TV or computer speakers or simply go to another room while connected by phone, as background noise will interfere with the broadcast. And I will call on each public speaker in order of hands raised, and the chair has designated a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting. So please stay within your time limit. And let me take a look. We do have a couple attendees, and just a reminder, this is for comments on items not on the agenda. And our first hand raised is Tony Tollner. So I will go ahead. Oh, actually, let me just, Jennifer, could you promote me to panelists, and I should be able to enable them on there to share their public comment?
Sure thing. Sorry about that.
No worries. And just one moment on the public comment. I'm just going to get this. There we go. Perfect.
And so we received an email from Tony Tollner. It has since been uploaded to monterey.org/submitted comments for public access. It was just an email asking us to show these images on screen. So while Mr. Tollner speaks and provides public comment, I will be sharing my screen with the requested images.
And I just, Mr. Tollner, you're on with the Historic Preservation Commission, if you'd like to share your public comment. There we go. And it looks like you're just muted. If you could please unmute, and then you should be able to share your public comment.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, listen, thank you. I very much appreciate your service. I think in a town as significant as ours, what you do is super important. So my name is Tony Tollner. I'm a longtime Monte Vista neighborhood resident. I sent in some pictures which I've asked to be shown, which you can see. There's a series of about 5 pictures that kind of show the topic I'm talking about, which is the Carmel stone around the high school and the district offices. The pictures are in no particular order, but show damaged areas and those in danger. You've heard a lot about MPUSD's plan for a large parking improvement project at their district office at 700 Pacific Street and also the Monterey High School campus. While there's a lot for you all to consider, I'm here today to speak specifically about the historic Carmel stonework at those locations that MPUSD has either damaged or destroyed or allowed to fall into disrepair. I feel the city of Monterey should be aware of these historic resources and work with MPUSD to protect and preserve this stonework. There's a presumption that school districts will comply with local zoning ordinances. And this is shown in the draft EIR and the comments for the stadium project, which included analysis of the project under the city codes of Monterey. Unlike federal properties like the DLI and the Naval Postgraduate School and the Presidio, public K-12 school districts are local agencies, and school district property is subject to city zoning and building codes. MPUSD has shown little interest in preserving the historic stadium bleachers and did not even want to admit their history until concerns were voiced during the recent comments on the draft EIR. As noted in comments sent in by another resident whose name is Marta Kravchuk, historical consultant Pam Daly recommended that MPUSD retain the services of a historic architect that meets the interior standards for professionals to assist in development of a plan to preserve, restore, and rehabilitate the physical attributes of MHS Stadium, Monterey High Stadium. In her comment, Ms. Daly states, quote, "The concrete steps first put on the slope of the stadium in 1917 are historic and distinctive," end quote. Recently, during construction of the Science Center, these steps were apparently damaged. The repair is obvious. There was no attempt to match the mortar, and Carmel stone was removed. In addition, no effort was made to match the rise or tread of the historic concrete staircase. Kind of all in all, a hasty patch job. Those are my words. As you can see from the pictures I sent, there are many more areas throughout the campus and at the district office where this historic stonework is present, but currently at risk or damage from these parking improvement projects and other construction. Our city of Monterey has always prided itself on our history, so I ask that you all act now before this historic stonework is removed or further damaged. Please take an active role in the oversight of current MPUSD construction projects and ensure that they comply with city codes and zoning. I urge the city to help protect this stonework for our future generations. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much for your comment. And it does appear that we have another public comment. So I have the name as M. Erickson. I just allowed you to share your public comment. If you wouldn't mind unmuting, and you're on with the Historic Preservation Commission.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I'm Molly Erickson. I'm speaking on behalf of local residents and preservationists. And if the staff could please put up those photographs, because I will also be speaking about the same issue that Mr. Tolner just spoke about, and they are relevant. And I noticed a couple of them went by fairly quickly. So if you could show all but the first one that was up the longest, I'd appreciate it. Thanks very much. As Mr. Tolner mentioned, there is a project before the city, and there's a large stadium project and an upcoming very large parking project that is required to comply with city zoning code and building codes. There's a way for them to get around it. They haven't tried that yet. But at this point, I've spoken with the city attorney and with Kim Cole about this. And MPUSD could adopt a resolution exempting itself, but it has not. And in fact, in living memory, as far as I know, MPUSD has never adopted such a resolution exempting itself from city zoning and building codes. So the HPC can and should try to protect the historic resources throughout our city. And in this case, with regard to the school district, many have already been demolished. Those two very large patios have been demolished of Carmel stone, and much more stonework is threatened with demolition. Nothing prevents the HPC from trying to preserve this really the entire district worth of stonework at both the administrative site of MPUSD and Monterey High School, which they are all contiguous and attached to each other. There's no line between them. Now, the city manager did send a few comments to the school district about the project, but nothing about the historic resources at the school site, nothing. This HPC can and should review this with the possibility of writing a letter to the school district. I understand it's not on the agenda and nothing would happen tonight. I understand that, but the HPC could look at the historic stonework at Monterey High School. It is historic. It's not potentially historic. It is historic. We know this. And we've got a couple of reports that confirm it, and no one really disputes it. HPC can do a site visit to see the density of the stonework throughout the lower campus of the stadium on down to the Pacific Street site. You can either walk to there or maybe even do an HPC site visit. You could add it to the historic inventory so it can be honored and known about, or at least refer to the site within the city's planning and preservation documents. You could urge plaques, for example, to inform all those who come to the site to be aware of the cultural importance of the stone at the site and the stonework. There are many things that are possible to do, and I urge the HPC to explore them, look into them, and do what you can. It's a remarkable resource within the city's midst. Thank you very much, Madam Chair and Commissioners.
Thank you very much for your comment. And it appears that we don't have any additional public comment at this time.
She is, he is. Which one is the condition? Jeez, Lord. Thank you very much for your comments, Molly and Tony. We very appreciate your interest.
Okay, so that concludes our public comment period. Chair or Vice Chair Collin, would you like to open the first public appearance item?
Well, I was just wondering if the staff will have us more involved in maybe a field trip to the high school to see this. Are the others interested?
So I do need to, this is not currently on our agenda. So when we accept public comment, that's an opportunity to accept public comment. We can discuss at a future time what items are placed on your agenda. So the appropriate step right now is to introduce agenda item 3, which is the public hearing. And I'm happy to introduce that, or you can, Vice Chair Collin, whatever you're comfortable with.
Now, I thought we just did that. 9:40 was.
No, we haven't started yet. So introduce.
Okay, all right, so we're going to be considering 940 West Franklin Street today. The Barlows are the owners and applicant.
Application for this.
Okay, I'm sorry, it is an application for the Mills Act contract and the H2 historic zoning. So so can I ask for comments then?
Staff will give the presentation.
Yes, perhaps the staff could give the presentation
Yes.
about 140. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Again, my name is Fernanda Roveri. I'm an interim principal planner for the city of Monterey, and I will share my screen to give my presentation. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The recommendation here is that the HPC adopt 2 resolutions, one of them recommending that the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council adopt an ordinance to rezone the property as a city historic resource. And number 2, recommending that the City Council approve a Mills Act contract for the property. This is the subject property. It's 940 West Franklin Street. And the proposal is to give it H2 local historic zoning. The applicant, Mr. Barlow and his wife submitted an intensive survey prepared by architectural historian Kent Seavey. And the intensive survey reports that the house is known as the Samuel and Bertha Janvey House, and it qualifies as a local historic resource based on California Register Criterion 3, which says that a resource needs to embody the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, region, or method of construction, or represents the work of a master or possesses high artistic values. And so the intensive survey goes on to say that this is an intact example of a Spanish colonial bungalow found in Monterey in the 1920s. And it is an intact example with very minor alterations, mostly to the back of the house. And some of the character defining features, let me see. Sorry, I'm having trouble. Can't. All right, well, some of the character defining features where it's one-story form, and also the caramel stonework on the chimney, which you can see right here. And the entrance here, which is a stepped entrance that goes into a porch area. And I'm sorry, I can't show the other character defining features right now, but I can definitely discuss them during discussion or questions. And this is another view of the property, just of the entrance and the stepped porch area. And also the low stucco walls. The property meets the eligibility requirements for the H2 overlay zoning and the Mills Act program in that the property has been identified by a qualified architectural historian to be a significant local historic resource. And granting the contract will serve to offset the cost of maintaining the resource. A maintenance schedule was submitted and is included as part of the proposed resolutions. And again, the recommendation is that the HPC adopt 2 resolutions, one of them recommending that the PC recommend City Council rezoning to a historic resource, and recommending that the City Council approve a Mills Act contract for the property. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Does anyone have a question at this time? Any commissioner?
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez.
Hi, my name is Juan. I'm new, so pardon the basic questions, but I was doing some reading on the Mills Act, but does the city have an active, I don't know, inspection type of program? You know, I know, you know, the tax break is there and there's certain conditions that the homeowner must meet, but do we go, I don't know, once a year and check that the property is actually being preserved or not changed in some way?
So yes, we do have in our program that we should be inspecting the property yearly to make sure that it is being maintained according to the maintenance schedule. But currently we haven't been following that protocol just because of it's a large workload, and but it's something that we definitely want to start doing again because it's part of our contract with the property owner, and it makes then we should be making sure that they are being maintained. But yes, that is something that we're working on to get that started up again.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, what about, is the applicant represented today? Oh, here we go. Hi, Chris. Sorry about that. And Mrs. Barlow, sorry, I haven't met you. Would you like to give a presentation, Chris?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. My name's Christopher Barlow, and this is my wife, Julie Barlow. We've lived at 940 West Franklin for the last dozen years or so. And in fact, this house is why we moved to Monterey 12 years ago. Just love the scale. I'm obviously partial, but even seeing the photographs, I get kind of emotional about the house. We've seen over the years just a lot of the benefits and tribulations of living in an old house. And we do love this house, but we've also found that there is a lot of upkeep. We're a fairly visible property right on one of the busiest streets in Old Town Monterey, which is Franklin Street. And things like the walls along the sidewalk, which are those stepped walls that were mentioned, are starting to lean. Just a lot of old cabling in the house is still knob and tube, which keeps me up all night sometimes thinking about it. So there's a lot of upkeep that we're looking for, the city to recognize that we're keeping up this as a resource that we feel like the entire city can benefit from. The other thing I wanted to mention too is that we did do some research trying to find the specific architect. Being an architect myself, I was somewhat disappointed that we couldn't get the exact architect that designed this house. May have been one of the builders here, because the house does share a lot of traits with some of the other historic properties around this area. So that's unfortunately not something that I'll continue to research and see if I can find out. And I also do want to pay a quick little bit of homage to the original owner, who's Bertha Janvey, who is buried over in the cemetery just locally here. So interesting story about the first owners of this house being associated with the Monterey Hotel and the Del Monte Hotel. And Bertha Janvey used to sell dresses out of this house. So it's kind of fascinating. So anyway, very much appreciate Fernanda's report and staff's efforts on this. And also just want to congratulate all the new commissioners here. It's nice to see everybody on the board. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much too. One of my favorite houses on Franklin, I might add, both of you. Are there any public comments to be made?
It doesn't look like we have anyone on the line at this time, but I will go ahead and just take a moment to do a quick reminder about how to make a public comment during this meeting. Just a friendly reminder, you can join the meeting from a computer or phone using the link posted on isearchmonterey.org, or you can call in by dialing 833-568-8864 and entering the webinar ID, which is 161-961-0419. And to make a comment, simply raise your hand in Zoom, or if you're connected by phone, please dial *9. And again, it doesn't look like we have anyone on the line for a public comment, but I'll certainly let you know if we receive any.
All right, then should we move to close public comments at this time, Kimberly?
Yes. Yes, that would be the next step, and the commission should deliberate the proposal and make a motion in second with their proposed action.
All right.
I need to announce that I am, I think, 50 feet into the 1,000 feet limit to participate in this discussion. I'm 960 feet from the property. So I will excuse myself from the discussion. Yeah.
You are? You think I would be?
Okay.
I'm okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I thought you were further away, Geraldine. Okay. Any other comments?
I have a comment. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Juan.
No, please.
Okay, I just wanted to say how nice it is to see a building that has not been altered over time with having just essentially one owner. It hasn't churned. I always say that the best thing that can happen to a lot of historic sites or buildings is history passes them by. So it just looked wonderful when we drove by. Had to make 2 passes to find it, but that's okay. So I'll be happy to make a motion after Juan makes his comments if you want.
Yeah, I just wanted to say you did a fantastic job preserving the property. Looks beautiful, and it gives me a little bit more comfort, the fact that you are in the architectural field, because you understand the value of it. And I hear your pain on the knob and tube electrical system, because we actually.
Everything froze, Geraldine.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So, but anyway, so as you heard, there's not a plan yet for the city to do the inspections, but like I said, it's the job that you've done on the property, and also the fact that you are able to appreciate the beauty of it and the importance of conservation. I have no reservations. I'm happy to also, if Carol, if you make the motion, I'm happy to second it too.
Great. Would you like to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we accept the staff's recommendation for a rezoning of 940 West Franklin Street to H2, and also a Mills Act contract on the same building. And I will also say that I think Chris has gotten a couple of awards for historic architectural something. For another was it Franklin Street, I think, way down that building. Yeah. So that was my motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay. A second to Commissioner O'Neill's motion.
I'll second.
If not, okay. All right, Juan, you mentioned you wanted to, so we'll consider you as the second here.
All right, I have Commissioner O'Neill with the motion, and then the second followed by Commissioner Rodriguez. And now I will do a roll call vote for the rest of the commission. And first we have Vice Chair Colum.
All right. Let's see. Those let's see, do I say those in favor? I'm not sure, Kimberly.
We have to go one at a time just because of the virtual format. We need to be sure that we know which commissioners are voting which way. So if you don't mind, I'll just do a roll call vote right now. And you're up first, Vice Chair Colum.
Yes, I was going to say thank you, Jennifer. Yes, aye.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner Dawson?
Very enthusiastic. A beautiful example of a mostly original, well-maintained Spanish colonial bungalow.
And Commissioner Hambaro? You are unmuted. I've just asked you to unmute.
Yeah, I don't think you can hear me.
We can now.
Oh, you can hear me. Oh, okay. Well, I've been in the meeting and I vote aye. Great house.
Thank you. And were you able to hear the discussion?
Yeah. I've heard everything on my phone, but I was having trouble with my computer and long story. So, but I've been here all the time.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to confirm you've heard the discussion about the item. Thank you for confirming. We're glad you're able to participate now. And carrying on with our roll call vote, we have Commissioner O'Neill.
Aye.
And Commissioner Rath.
Aye.
And Commissioner Rodriguez.
Aye.
Thank you. And that was a passing motion with 6 votes and 1 recusal.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Vice Chair Colin, could you announce the appeal period? Or is there? Maybe there's not. Never mind. Sorry. There's no appeal period. It's just a recommendation.
So the motion is carried unanimously. Is that okay? And I want to thank the applicants, the staff for all their work, and well, we really didn't have public comments, so except for the applicants. So shall we move on to the next item here? Oh, the one I've been waiting for. And Kimberly knows why.
Great. Just for the agenda, the next agenda item under public appearance is to confirm the annual appointments for the chair and vice chair. And Fernanda, can you please provide that presentation?
Yes. Okay. All right, so it's time to have our HPC chair, vice chair rotation. And I just want to recap everyone's appointment dates. So Carol O'Neill was the first HPC commissioner present today. She was appointed in 2006. And then is Geraldine Smith Crivello, Carol Dawson, Kathy Cullum, and our newest members are Lori Hambaro, Linda Rath, and Juan Rodriguez. They were appointed in January. And so we had our outgoing chair, Michael Napoli. He stepped down last year in December. Currently, we have Vice Chair Cullum presently serving. Commissioner O'Neill is next in line to serve as Vice Chair as the most senior member. But if Vice Chair Cullum declines the position of Chair, Commissioner O'Neill would be next in line to serve as Chair, and Commissioner Smith Crivello would be next in line to serve as Vice Chair. And this is the proposed rotation for 2021. Because Commissioner Cullum is currently the Vice Chair, she would be proposed to be the Chair. However, next in line, if she declines, would be Commissioner O'Neill for Chair, and then Commissioner Smith Crivello for Vice Chair. And if either of them decline, then Commissioner Dawson would have priority. And that's reflected by the service as chair column here to the right. And so the recommendation is that the HPC should have a discussion on the rotation and confirm the chair and vice chair positions. And I can keep these up if you have any questions.
Can I go ahead and say something? This is Commissioner Cullum. I would like to postpone the chairmanship until we meet in person. I do not have a computer. Commissioner Crivello has been very generous to let me share hers for these meetings, but I would just feel more comfortable if I could postpone, I don't know, a date next year when COVID ends. That's something we need to discuss. My other question is, can I continue as vice chair until I chair or not?
So let me just provide a little background here. The City Council adopted a rotation policy to ensure that all members would have an opportunity to serve in various positions. So at this point, the next person in line to be vice chair would be Carol O'Neill, or I guess it would be Geraldine Smith Crivello. So the idea is that it rotates. All members have the ability to decline. I have experienced that in the past with a different committee where everybody declined in the future and somebody came back and was chair again. So it's really up to the group and the dynamics of the group, but the purpose of the City Council's policy was to provide ultimately all members an opportunity to be vice chair and chair. So the next step would be for you to move on, Commissioner Cullum, if you choose not to be chair, and provide that opportunity to other commissioners.
Yeah, so yes, well then, if I cannot postpone it to say next year, then I'll just move on.
Is there a provision in there? I forget how it's worded, but something like who has been serving the longest but has not held the chairmanship. Isn't there some phrase in there along those lines?
In terms of vice chairmanship or
I don't know if it's
chairmanship?
chairman or vice chairman.
Okay, so the rule says the position of chair shall rotate annually to the member who has the longest current period of continuous service on the board or commission without having served as chair. But you've had further down in the policy, you've had to have at least been on the commission for 6 months before you can be chair of the commission.
Right.
So,
But it seems that the rotation would, serving the longest without having been chair, that Kathy could cycle back in at some point because she would not have been chair. Does that make sense?
so let's talk about next year if we're in person and she hasn't served as chair and she's been on the, then she would have the opportunity to be the chairman as well.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
So it all shakes out the way,
Okay.
for everybody but me.
I warned you.
You're it. Yeah.
I can always go to the fuzzy screen and, I'm having a computer issue. So what's the next step? Do they vote? Did Kathy and I duke it out?
Well, I think we've heard from Commissioner Cullum that she does not currently want to serve as chair. So now the question goes to you, Commissioner O'Neill. Are you willing to take on the chairmanship for this next period?
Yes, I will.
Great, thank you. And then after that, vice chairmanship would rotate to Geraldine Smith Crivello. Are you willing to take on that position?
Yeah, that's fine.
Great. That's all we ask is that you confirm the annual appointments. If you want to take a motion and second, you can, but it's not required.
Would I do that or would Commissioner O'Neill do that?
Probably somebody, not them. So
Yeah.
I can make that motion as stated by Kimberly to have Commissioner O'Neill as chairperson, and we were going to have as vice chairperson.
Right.
Who were we? Who were we then?
Geraldine.
Geraldine, as vice, hello, Geraldine Smith Crivello as vice chairperson. So I make that motion.
I'll second. Oh, sorry, I'll second.
Yeah.
So
We have a roll call.
Vote, yeah.
I'm ready for the roll call vote now. This might be a little out of order as we're changing positions. So currently, Vice Chair Cullum,
Aye.
not for long, you're not Vice Chair. And then Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Hambaro,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Aye.
Chair O'Neill, Commissioner Rath,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
and Commissioner Smith Crivello.
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith Crivello. It is now official with a unanimous vote. Thank you so much. That motion passes.
So Chair O'Neill, if you'll introduce the next item, that would be
Okay.
appropriate. Thank you very much.
Good thing I printed these out. Agenda item 5, receive report on certified local government 2019-20 and annual report. An annual report. So Fernanda, do you do that?
Yes, thank you. So the city of Monterey has been a certified local government for some time now, and it's called, also known as CLG. The CLG program is a preservation partnership between local, state, and national governments focused on promoting historic preservation at the grassroots level. The program is jointly administered by the National Park Service and the state historic preservation offices in each state, with each local community working through a certification process to become recognized as a CLG. Being a CLG community, Monterey gets to have the expertise of the State Historic Preservation Office and National Park Service staff. And we also have access to grants provided by these entities. And as a CLG community, the city of Monterey is required to submit an annual CLG report to show its compliance with the program. And so I'm going to just share my screen and go over the report with you all. So the reporting period is a little different than the calendar year. The reporting period is from October 1st to 2019 to September 30th, 2020. And in order to be a CLG, you need to have preservation laws adopted into your ordinance or municipal code. And so I just put the link here to our historic preservation ordinance. We are also required to share any properties that have been designated historic in the reporting period. And so the properties that were designated were 490 Camino al Estero, 603 and 605 Hoffman Avenue, and they were given the H2 overlay zoning designation. We have a historic preservation element in our general plan, which is also required to be a CLG. And then we also review projects that are designated historic. We have a review where we check to see that any changes to the resource are consistent with the Secretary of the Interior standards for historic preservation. However, if the resource is designated historic, meaning that it has historic zoning, that's when the HPC gets involved, and they consider the changes at an HPC hearing. So let's see. And then here we are required to list our commission membership and the dates that each member was appointed. And so here I list our current chair and vice chair. Also, I listed Commissioner Barlow, O'Brien, and Napoli because they were active during the reporting period, even though they're no longer active today. Our CLG staff is Kimberly Cole. She is our CLG coordinator, is what it's called. The staff member appointed to as the CLG staff person. We are also required to, our Historic Preservation Commission, in order to maintain CLG eligibility, is required to meet at least 4 times a year. And so during the reporting period, our HPC met 5 times. So, and here we are required to note attendance. we are also required to report any training that our HPC commissioners attended. And Jennifer Cleary, she sent an email out. I don't remember if it was Jennifer or Sarah, but they work as a team. But they sent out an email to all HPC commissioners asking them what kind of training they've had related to historic preservation during the reporting period, and we got responses from Commissioner Smith Crivello and Commissioner Dawson, and then Kim Cole, our CLG coordinator, also is required to attend the training. And the requirement is a minimum of 1 training per year, but you are certainly welcome to do more.
Oh, excuse me. I have a comment on this. Instead of a March meeting, we did a tour of the museum at the JACL, Japanese, what is it, American Cultural League. I'm wondering if that could count as training.
Yes.
For everyone who attended that. I just thought of that just now when I was looking at this.
Yeah, I did too, Carol. I thought that was our meeting that day, I thought.
Yeah, it was very informative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fernanda, I sent an email to, and I can't remember if it was Sarah or Jennifer, that I did an online training with the CPF, and I also did the JACL museum, and we did extensive training with the Lighthouse in Big Sur, including National Register standards and whatnot. So I sent the email, but apparently it hasn't gotten included. It wasn't on when you sent the original out in the email a week or so ago. So somebody's got it.
Okay.
I can send it again, but
did those happen during the reporting period?
yes, they did.
Okay. So I got the online training with the CPF and the Lighthouse in Big Sur and the JACL tour.
Yes.
Is that correct?
The Lighthouse training was Zoom, of course. And the webinar was in March. When I sent my email, I had the date. It was in March, and it was adaptive reuse. It was 90 minutes.
Okay. We will make sure to include those.
Okay.
And then the JACL tour that other people attended, that
yeah, I think that was March 13th. It was the day everything shut down.
Okay.
I think most of us were there.
Yes.
Yeah.
All crowded in, not a mask.
Pre-mask.
Yeah.
Could you tell me who was there exactly? So I have Commissioner or Chair O'Neill and Vice Chair Smith Crivello. And who else? Oh, Kathy, Commissioner.
Me. Carol Dawson.
Okay. Okay.
Linda Rath was there too, but I think she was on ARC at that time.
Okay.
I have a question. Are we asking questions during the presentation? Can I ask a question about something we just spoke about?
Sure.
Or can I wait till it's over?
Yeah, either way.
Okay, well, in October, we discussed a property on Webster Street. And I actually could hear that meeting, but I couldn't participate because you couldn't hear me. And I noticed it's not mentioned on certified government. It's not one of the properties mentioned there or NOPAT. And I remember the property vividly because so much work was done before it came to us. And the challenge for the group was kind of working after the fact, and somehow it's not mentioned here. It was a Sino house originally, but now owned, I can. Beers, yeah, something like that.
Across from Branches.
Yes, it's across from Branches. It's not included. Is there a reason it's not included, Fernanda?
Yes, because it happened after the reporting period.
Oh, so that will be on this next year's
Yes.
report. Okay.
Exactly.
It seemed like, okay, thank you. You're right. It is, it stopped in September 30th, so that makes sense. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. And I'm gonna also give our commissioners the opportunity to add more comments after the presentation.
Okay.
We did mention here that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the city had to eliminate many positions and eliminate training budgets. And in case some of our commissioners didn't attend any trainings, we are making a commitment that next year we will have a training made available to every one of them.
I have a question. I realize it wasn't training, but I did attend a talk at the library on Fremont just before the pandemic, March 11th, I believe it was, last year. So I don't know, does that count for anything?
Buildings.
Yeah, it's not training. It was a historical presentation on John Fremont, General John Fremont.
Okay. Yes, I believe that would count.
I did report it to Sarah or Jennifer. I know I did. Sarah, I think Sarah, I reported it to her.
We will write it down. We will
Thank
include it.
Thank you, Fernanda.
So we received, I remember that prior to the meeting today, we received an email from one of the commissioners. I believe it was Commissioner Dawson.
It was me.
Pointed out that the Alta Mesa historic context statement was adopted, but however, I found that the date of adoption was after the reporting period. Or no, sorry, that wasn't the reason. The reason that I didn't include it is because it says here excluding those funded by OHP.
Oh, okay.
Alta Mesa study was exclusively funded by OHP. So
Okay.
that's why I didn't include it. I was just following the instructions.
No, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, and here it says any new surveys or survey updates, excluding those funded by OHP. So that's also the Alta Mesa reconnaissance survey. We are also, as a CLG, required to provide public participation in local historic preservation program. And the way that we do that is that we hold these public hearings. So during each meeting, the public is invited to attend, listen, and participate. The HPC meetings are televised and replayed on the local public access channel. So this is how we engage the public. And then these are some additional reporting requirements by the National Park Service. We are required to list all of our newly zoned properties, which I listed up above. So they just want the number that were listed. So that was 3, that was 490 Camino al Estero, 603, and 605 Hoffman. And then here, we also surveyed 56 contributing properties as part of the Alta Mesa survey, and 9 of those were eligible for designation. And then they also ask about our Mills Act program. Or sorry, this is our local register, which is our pretty much our H2 and H1 properties. So this again says that 3 properties were designated. Oh, okay, and here they ask about the Mills Act program. So yes, we do have a Mills Act program, and it's a tax incentive program. 5 properties were added to our Mills Act program during the reporting period. And those are 1078 West Franklin, 1111 West Franklin, and 1176 Harrison Street, and 603 and 605 Hoffman. And that brings our total number of Mills Act properties to 59. We haven't received any grants for rehabilitating or restoring historic properties, so I answered no to that one. And here they ask about our design review program, which I mentioned earlier. We review projects that may have an impact on historic properties, and we do that by requiring a historic permit or doing a check through the California Environmental Quality Act. And I did a count of that, and during the reporting period, we reviewed 9 properties for compliance with our historic ordinance. We did not acquire any historic properties, so I said no. And then the OHP is interested in summarizing what our hot topics are. So what are our most critical preservation planning issues? And you're welcome to add to this, but for planning, it's adaptive reuse. So reusing a historic building in a way that makes it economically viable for the owner. Sensitive design for additions and repairs, and demolition by neglect. I think the single accomplishment was our adoption of the Alta Mesa Historic Context Statement and Reconnaissance Survey. And then what recognition do we provide for preservation projects? Well, for the Mills Act, we require plaques to be installed to give a little background of the property's history and for the public to see. Our historic preservation goals for next year are to continuing the process of updating the city's historic ordinance and Mills Act program. And that includes revamping the yearly inspections of our Mills Act properties. And we are asking OHP to participate in our historic ordinance update. And these are the training that we thought would be beneficial for our HPC members. Trainings on adaptive reuse, demolition by neglect, and sensitive additions and alterations, such as window changes. And yes, we would be willing to host a training workshop in cooperation with OHP. And then we are also required to attach resumes and statement of qualifications from all commissioners and CLG staff, and all minutes from commission meetings. And those are attached in your packet. If you have any other changes, I believe Commissioner Dawson had a change in her resume. So that was noted. We will make that change.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Crivello, Ms. Smith Crivello.
Page 55, the statement of qualifications, it's a simple page, but it says my term expires 12/209, and I think it's just a typo.
Yeah, I brought that up to her.
I don't know what, I think it's just a typo. I don't even know why it says, I can't even figure out what it means.
Was it 2019?
I don't know, because I wasn't, maybe I was up for change in 2019, but it seems like that, then now it should be a different year, that. I don't think those have been updated correctly, and mine certainly is wrong, because the date of appointment 8/15 is right, but the date term expires 12/209 is not right.
Right. I copied the statement of qualifications from last year. And so all of them, the date term that the date that they expire needs to be changed for all of them then. So I will make that change.
Thank you.
So if you do the 2 years, it would be 2019.
Is
Thank you. Anything else? But they should update it too.
Does that conclude your report, Fernanda?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Any more revisions for the CLG report? If you have them, you can email Fernanda or Sarah or I believe Jennifer. Moving on, commissioner comments. Are there any comments that commissioners? I see hands. Kathy?
Good. Yes, Commissioner O'Neill. I'd like to know something about our 3 new commissioners. If this is an appropriate time.
Maybe they could introduce themselves
Yeah.
and tell and say a little bit about their.
I think that's a great idea. Let's start with Commissioner Rath. Who are you?
Who am I?
I know Linda quite well.
I'm a retired state park ranger and superintendent. I worked for state parks for 26 years and retired 7 years ago now. One of my assignments was down in Big Sur. That's where I know Carol from. And I used to supervise Point Sur State Historic Park, but now I volunteer there. And I just stopped being the chair of volunteers a couple weeks ago. I also worked at Fort Ross State Historic Park and San Juan Bautista and Fremont Peak and several other parks in California that had historic areas, usually kind of small areas. Let's see, I have a house that's 100+ years old, and I've always been interested in the architecture of Monterey and the history. And I was on the architectural review committee for I think 4 years. And I stopped doing that a few months ago. So that's
excellent. Lori, whatever you want to say, who you are.
Okay. I guess I could say I was born in Monterey, and I would be like 3rd generation.
Could you speak just a little closer to your microphone? I think that's.
I think I'm using my phone because I had trouble. Okay, sorry. Okay, so anyway, my grandfather, James Chappell, he was a stonemason, and he built a Carmel stone house in New Monterey. And many years ago, I decided to get an HPC designation. Probably would have been in the early 80s or maybe, or early 90s. Anyway, so that's how I kind of got involved with, concerns about historic preservation. But I also worked at Monterey State Historic Park as a guide. So I have a lot of knowledge of Monterey history through that. And of course, the buildings and all that. And I know Linda Raff. So, yeah, I guess that's about all I have to say.
Thank you, Lori. Juan, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Juan. I'm not born and raised here, but I've lived in the area for almost 10 years, and I just love living here. Monterey is a beautiful city. I've been trying to talk to my kids about volunteerism and things like that, so I figured I'd volunteer and try to help the city out best way that I kind of can with the limitations of time that I have, raising two little kids. My kids are from Monterey, I would say. My background, I have a degree in history that I'm not doing anything with until now.
Want fries with that?
What's that? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So by training, I'm a lawyer. So I chickened out. So I did the lawyer thing first, and then did the history where really my heart is. So that's essentially. I was looking at the commissions. I mean, I was considering also I applied also, I should say, to the museum one, because I've been a docent volunteer for the city off and on, but that's what brought me here. I guess I'm just trying to use my degree with my fries, like you said, and also trying to help the city a little bit if I can, volunteer in my time, because it's a great place to live.
I totally agree with that. Thank you. Now we'll know who you are. Hopefully, at some point we'll get back to our normal digs. Geraldine, did you have a comment?
Just to welcome the new members, and I want to say that this year we said goodbye to Jean O'Brien. She's been with us for at least 17 years. It seems like it was longer. And she always used to say, we're a really nice group to work with. We enjoy the different points of view that Sam, you can feel very comfortable sharing your thoughts with us. And we just welcome you. And also nice that you happened to come when we were doing our government, kind of our report the year, because it gives you a little background into the various things that we worked on this last year. And I wanted to thank the staff for their work on the report. It seems like they worked hard on it, and I appreciate the staff work on the report this year.
Thank you, Geraldine. Anyone but me have a comment? Carol?
Yeah, I'd like Carol. Yeah, thank you, Carol. I'd like for the commission to consider agendizing the Monterey High School historic or potentially historic stonework in accordance with the comments and the letter that were discussed at the beginning of the meeting during the public comments. The letter was signed by an historian who recommended inclusion of at least part of that stonework in the national and California registers. So can we have a discussion and possibly a vote on whether we want to agendize that for a future meeting?
So you can't take a vote on something that's not currently on the agenda. So we will take that request under advisement and consider it for the next agenda. If we're able to schedule that, if it's within your purview, we will absolutely do that.
Could we request a report at least of what the city is doing or their views on it? Would that be appropriate?
Sure, we can do that. Yes,
I mean,
we could do that.
obviously we can agendize it, but don't we have to have something
Well, so
for
the
agenda,
challenge,
like
yeah,
report?
the challenge is that no application has been filed with the city of Monterey, so we have no formal item under consideration. So the question is under the public appearance section of the code, is it appropriate to agendize a general discussion of the issues at the Monterey High School? And I just need to check on purview and whether or not we're allowed to do that. But if it's within the purview of the Historic Preservation Commission, one way or another, we'll report back to you.
Okay, that sounds fair. I wasn't sure how that was going to work without having a project to, so a report, or could we direct a letter if after the report, if there's still nothing there, no project?
Perhaps. So the comment period on the EIR has closed, but that doesn't prevent the city necessarily from sending another letter, but it won't legally be necessarily part of the environmental impact report. So I'll just say I probably shouldn't make too many conclusions right now.
Okay. All right.
The statements,
We'll
Ms.
wait.
Eric, yeah.
Yeah, we'll wait till you come back.
I would appreciate that.
Okay, that sounds fair. That was something I was going to ask about, and also I was going to ask if someone on the staff could forward a link to maybe all of us, or especially our new commissioners, for the standards for historic preservation. I think it's the National Park Bulletin 15, but maybe it's some other number. Because even though you guys, the staff does a really good job of highlighting the relevant parts for each project that comes before us, I think it's very instructive to kind of have the context and the philosophy behind the National Historic Standards. So it's one of the things that I like about the Historic Preservation Commission is we have rules. So we're not just out there with, whatever we feel like, though there's a lot of wiggle room around the rules. But it's nice to know what the national, the standards are, because it makes things, it just enlightens you. I guess. And we don't seem to have enough training to start with new commissioners, especially. Always, there's never money or staff. Just seems to be a limit. So that's my, stop laughing.
That would be
a good idea.
Yeah, I would say that would be fantastic, because to me, a wall could be a wall, and if I have and built 50 years ago, so what? But maybe there's something to the wall, and I'm not talking about this one specifically, but there could be something that I'm missing that I'd ignore. So yeah, if that's a possibility, I would love to read that material.
Yeah, it's online, but I'm sure somebody, if they don't find it, I can find it. It's not a huge long document, but there's a lot of squishy bits, which is why we end up discussing and not maybe always agreeing, and we had one of our latest things was a split down the middle on whether this was historic or not historic. But it really puts into context, instead of picking just those bits that's relevant to that particular project. So that's my shout out to education. I don't know, can we get Can we get training hours for reading it? Do at the lighthouse. Yes, Geraldine?
You reminded me of something, just this, it seems like it was only a week or two ago. Kathy Cullum and I were asked to represent this group on the properties on Del Monte, the French Laundry and the store, the bodega, and the bodega was the one that we were split on, and the French Laundry, I can't, I don't have the numbers in front of me, I should have brought it, but I think it would be nice to report to you that it was a very interesting experience to attend the architectural review planning commission. I'm sorry, it was planning commission. I'm up for good. Planning commission meeting. It was a great group to listen to all the information. We were asked to just share how we happened to vote the way we did, as a committee, not individually so much. And on the split vote, they voted because we were split, they voted to actually take it off the historic register, and on the unanimous vote on the other building, they voted to support us and our vote. So I think they were very conscientious in their evaluation, and they were, it's just very interesting to visit another commission and see how they work. And I thought it would be nice to have a report. Now, they could still contest that, and it could still go to city council, I guess, and I haven't heard if they're going to, but, and I don't know what that means to the developer to have one project, one building taken off and the other one left on, that may change the plans that they had for the site. So, it was just that one meeting that we attended representing you, and I thought it would be good to share the result of the vote.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Geraldine jumped in, kind of a last minute thing. We were right here together. She did an excellent job on presenting our views and why we voted the way we did. And they even said, the one on the French Laundry building, that they respected our decision and felt they should stick by that. So we really, Geraldine really did a good job.
Well, it helped a lot, that Kimberly asked us at the end of one of those votes, what are your reasons? And that helped me represent all of us by sticking with those reasons, not having to go into my memory. So Kimberly, thank you for getting us to say what exactly were your reasons for doing this, because that was important in that situation.
Thank you. Any more commission comments? Okay, moving on to staff comments and informational reports. Anything?
Sure. Well, we provided a planning office update in your staff report. It's the very last page. And during our December 15th, 2020 City Council meeting, there was an action by the council to authorize an affordable housing agreement for 1330 Skyline Drive. And then on our January 5th, 2020 City Council meeting, staff worked with the City Council to work on our priorities for 2021 and reopening after COVID. And then in our February 2nd, 2021 City Council meeting, the council adopted a study about sea level rise called Adapting a Threatened Transportation Network to Sea Level Rise. It was funded by a Caltrans Adaptation Planning Grant. And so that was, if you didn't watch it, you can go back and take a look at monterey.org. But It was a very good discussion with council members and the community about what are our next steps for protecting our city against sea level rise. And the city is also applying for grants to continue the efforts and prepare the city before it's too late. So we are making progress, and there's also an engagement website. The city launched the haveyoursaymonterey.org. And if you go there, there's different projects going on, like one of them being cannabis. The other project, the sea level rise study. So if you're interested, go to that website, haveyoursaymonterey.org, and you can read all about it. And then there is no tentative agenda for our next HPC meeting on March 11th, but that may change. I also wanted to follow up with what Chair O'Neill said about HPC trainings. We did, Kim and I did meet with our new commissioners, Linda, Lori, and Juan. We gave them a brief orientation to HPC. So we showed them, we shared links to our historic ordinance, our Monterey.org website, all of our historic surveys. But I like your idea, Chair, about providing the National Park Service bulletins about historic preservation. And that's definitely something that we will do. And we will share trainings, free trainings that come up as they come up. And I believe that Kim has already shared some. And they're usually free, so that's a plus, and they're online. But if you ever have any requests for training for a specific topic, please let us know, and we'll do our best to find something that will satisfy your educational need. So with that, that concludes staff reports.
Okay, Carol Dawson.
I'll just add that I attended the webinar on Modernism Week in Palm Springs, and it was very interesting. And there's a follow-up one on, I think, the 23rd.
Yeah, I think you have to pay for that webinar. I think.
No, it was free.
I did. Oh, good. I did the modernism one.
Free.
Yeah, that's what I said. Good. I did that one, and I did the one 2 weeks ago on online mapping, and that was very good. There was a lot of good, hard information on there. I think this is through the California Preservation Foundation, and I think some of their webinars are online. I'm not 100% sure. But the Palm Springs one was intriguing. I just wanted more pictures.
Yeah,
having lived near Palm Springs at one time. But anyway, yes, Kim.
Just a couple comments. First of all, welcome to our new year. I know we're just getting started with the Historic Preservation Commission this year. Last year was probably one of the roughest years in my entire career here at the City of Monterey. The amount of time and city effort towards addressing COVID is significant. It was the majority of, I think, every staff member working here at the city. And so there were a lot of setbacks in sort of our normal operations as a government agency, but I'm really proud of what our government agencies also achieved. The Community Development Department refocused, and we started an emergency rental assistance program, and we were able to distribute $960,000 to qualified low-income households. the amount of effort and regearing through our planning and housing offices has been pretty significant. We also had to change all plan review to online, and it was a goal that we had always wanted, but and it's still evolving and improving. So all plans are now submitted electronically. They're reviewed electronically. They are uploaded electronically. That was a big shift for our entire planning and building staff to be able to complete those reviews. So it's been an unprecedented year. At the same time, as the report Fernanda mentioned, we lost 100 positions in the city of Monterey. 74 of those were filled positions. Community development, we lost the previous position that Elizabeth Carricker held in this office. She moved on to a new job. We're not going to be able to refill that position within the planning office. So I'll say it was a year of adjustment. It was a year of growth. I am proud of some of the things we've been able to accomplish for our community. One of the things that tremendously suffered in the last year was both staff and commission trainings. Our entire training budgets for both staff and commissions were eliminated, and willing to do that, obviously, considering the tough times that we're in. In the past, we would have paid for all of you to become CPF members. Many of you in the past have also attended trainings. We're unable to do that right now as a city, but I have been supporting, I chose to personally still join CPF, and I've been trying to forward to all of you the CPF trainings that do exist. So if our new commissioners didn't receive an email in the last week from me with you may just not be part of our group yet. So let me know if you did not receive that. Some of them are really fun, some of them are quirky, but I always enjoy them. So hope you take advantage of those if you're able to. Fernanda mentioned the Have Your Say Monterey website. I just want to show it because I think it's pretty special, and it's going to be a new, we'll move this over here. If you type, can everyone see my screen? Okay, so if you type into your web browser, haveyoursaymonterey.org, we will start posting our major projects on this site as a city organization, so not just planning. The city right now is really looking at commercial cannabis. Fernanda mentioned sea level rise adaptation. This is a great site that you should go and look at because if you go to learn more, one of the things that you're going to find, you can find all the council meetings and the presentation, but I want you to look what's going to happen to our east downtown area with sea level rise. That area will flood. Royal Presidio Chapel is going to be fine, but this whole area tries to become an estuary again. So that will affect that part of our city. Our COVID-19 response, third-party food deliveries, the work we've been doing on the North Fremont corridor, and of course the little things like gas leaf blowers that everybody cares about. But anyways, take advantage of this. I think it's sort of fun to check in. If you click on each of them, the projects have milestones and it sort of shows you where we're at. You can also ask the staff members questions. So take advantage of that. We're also undergoing, just the last subject, some staffing changes in the planning office. Andy Flower left our city organization mid-December, so we will be working to backfill our planning office. So right now we're down 2 staff members to, Elizabeth's position that historically was filled and Andy's position as well. So we will be working through in a recruitment process to make our planning organization whole again. So look forward to the new year with you. Thank you for your patience during the last year, as we've probably had fewer meetings than we've had in past years, but look forward to working with you again. And Fernanda is going to be taking the lead on that in the next month or so as we work. If you have any other questions, happy to answer them.
Thanks, Kim. I can't see anyone's, if anyone's raised their hand, so just shout out. Are we all Oh, there we are. Okay, any more comments, questions? Thank you, Steph. Oh, go ahead,
sorry.
Amanda.
Just that I'm super excited to work with you all, and please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them, and if you have any suggestions for trainings or anything that you want to share, I'm here, and I just want to make your experience as HPC commissioners really rewarding. So thank you.
So far, so good. And I looked at the list of trainings you had at the end of the CLG report, and they look like what I would like to see. So it's all good, I think. I am lacking a gavel, so that's another good reason to get back into the city council chambers. So I will just call us adjourned.